Welcome to What the Flick, Game of Thrones, Episode 7.
The Bear and the Maiden Fair.
Say it again.
The Bear and the Maiden Fair.
Better.
Say it with like some more flair, some kind of English accent.
The Bear and the Maiden Fair.
There we are. That's it right there.
And then a jig.
John and Brett, Ben. So I was looking at my notes here, which were I watched it late, and I think I was not in a very investigative mood, certainly, because I wrote throwaway episode.
Yeah.
Because there was one big moment, and then there were a lot of very tiny incremental progress.
Yeah, did I need to hear certain monologues from wildlings from the north about how she had
love?
a bad relationship?
Totally, yeah. And I could love you more. And,
Yeah.
I don't care. Right.
See, but really fast, just on that, because we're probably not going to talk about that scene very much. We often say, like, we feel like they show the zombies at the end of season 2, and then no more zombies anymore, forget about it. Like, I think we need occasional reminders that there's something horrible up there.
So I don't even know what scene you're talking about. That's a little.
He's talking about Osha, talking about her man with the close-ups of her wild eyebrows.
Oh, right.
The woman who was vowed to escort the youngest
Bran.
Stark to the north, Bran Stark to the north, to Castle Black. Yeah. And then she starts freaking out, and her explanation is that she doesn't want to go north of the Wall because she had a bad experience in a relationship.
It was a reminder that's there.
went on a bit long.
I can get one of those. You can just tell me that, or I would be happy to just see some kind of zombie wandering.
They don't do flashbacks.
Yeah,
Which would be interesting.
They should. In the books, they actually did, so it's odd that they didn't.
So that's one example of that. I totally forgot about that scene existed.
Exactly.
But I was thinking you meant the scene of the army without walls. What's their name?
The
Brotherhood Without Banners?
No, the army outside the wall.
Mance Raiders.
Mance Raiders.
Yeah. Oh, are you talking about when he was giving sex tips about fucking pigs?
Right. No. But then afterwards, there's the guy who sees through the animals.
Oh yeah, Orel.
Yeah. Obviously.
Gareth from The Office.
Gareth,
I can't help but see Gareth.
Why does he drop that on her? He's trying to convince her to sleep with him. Why doesn't he just say, I was
That was the first time. That's him, right?
Yeah.
That was the first time that I saw it.
Oh, that you realized it?
Yeah, yesterday I was like, wait a minute. And then I thought, that can't be. And so, but then all of a sudden his little thing about, I'd love you more, it just, that seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like dicta. It was like this is not.
Unnecessary.
So much, I'm not unnecessary, just not, no progress was being made.
Well, I would say really fast, I think that every episode has a theme. I think that one of the themes of this episode was how does love and loyalty inside an intimate relationship function in this world? And so you saw a lot of man and woman relationship talk. And I also love that he's like, they threw in he has pretty hair and pretty eyes, because obviously that's why a lot of the girls love Jon Snow. He's like, will that make you happy? No, you want a man who'll cut you loose from the side of a cliff and send you plummeting into your
exactly.
Oh,
I'd be like, bitch, you tried to kill me a week ago.
Also from that scene, well, I do think, just to speak on what we're talking about right now, they're kind of planting seeds in her mind if she's going to rethink this relationship with Jon Snow, where his loyalties lie. I think that was good, and planting a seed of doubt. That I like scenes like that.
Yeah, I agree, except then they took away the seed of doubt so quickly.
Yeah,
when they had their big romance.
They had their big romance, and they're back to sort of kibitzing like an old Jewish couple,
Right. You against a rock.
Yeah.
You know nothing.
But then also when she said, do you love him? Like, I thought maybe we'd have a moment, but she was like, no. And then take your hands off me. Like, he's out. Like, she's not going for Gareth.
Right.
Yeah. At any point. So I don't know. But then, of course, there was then we had this enormous moment with Jaime and.
Well, before that, the great part of this scene that we're just talking about is when they're walking and she looks at a windmill and she's like, oh, those must be master builders who built something so high and so fantastic. It's like, you just climbed a 10-mile wall.
Totally, that's right.
Built by people.
Yeah.
It's like, even now, after climbing that and you look and you see, King's Landing, you're going to be like, oh, it's not very tall, is it?
But let me ask a question then, John, of you, because, and I think this is a question that the super fans out there, and by that I mean the book readers, and I mean I've become a super fan, so I'm not, but they'll roll their eyes at. But I think there are literally thousands of people who will be like, yeah, please ask this question. What wall did they climb? Like, I thought they were climbing the wall.
It was the wall.
They were just
yeah.
down the way a bit, right? Mm-hmm. They know that the
wall stretches for hundreds
it's
of
like
miles.
the Great Wall of China.
Yeah, but much greater. Yeah.
so
they came from the north of it.
Taller. Yeah. You can see it from space.
Probably
as
if you had satellites. Yeah, so they went from the north, they came over the wall, and now they're headed like sort of south and parallel.
Yeah, they're parallel to the wall.
Yeah.
Right,
and realize it's much easier to come down that side because at every one of those abandoned castles, there's presumably stairs and lifts.
Right.
And stuff
Maybe
like
I'm
that.
an idiot. I think that was helpful.
That's helpful.
To
That's
some
helpful.
people,
It was the wall.
Okay, all right, that's right. Because then they're talking about the wall later, and I was like, what was that?
Right.
Remember those like 24 or 36 people went over the wall, but the vast majority of the army is still on the other side. Like, you can't have thousands of people climb the wall.
Well, and do we think Jon Snow is right in his assessment then that like it's happened? We learned it in class. Everybody
right.
Everybody does. Like learning the presidents.
I guess
how
it
a bill
like
becomes a law. How many outside raiders have climbed the wall, tried to storm us, and failed.
And they have some kind of song that's a mnemonic device. The first raider from the north, he went south. The second raider from the north got kicked in the mouth.
That's pretty good freestyling by Brett Erlich.
Thank you.
I thought that was interesting. I couldn't tell when he was talking about that if he was like just trying to warn her with the truth, or if he was just saying that.
I definitely warn her with the truth, I think.
Yeah, and it was like I love the moment of you're all gonna die, and she's like, no, we're all gonna die, reminding him.
How does that jibe with her earlier conversation to him of saying, I know you're not really with us?
I think it's a continuation of that same thing. She's continuing to try to remind him, no, you in your heart, you may not be with us, but you are with us, and you need to get with the program. I think that's what she's trying to tell him.
She just doesn't want him to die.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know,
or slip up in front of someone else. So he's flipping up in front of her.
She doesn't mind if he dies. She just doesn't want him to live and find some other girl.
Right. So she loves him. She wants him with her.
And the kiss as they looked out over all of Westeros. That's
beautiful moment.
That's love. That was in the preview.
Also, before we go on to the other scenes, I think it's important to note, and I had forgotten, I knew beforehand, but I forgot while watching this episode, this was the episode of this season that was written by George R. R. Martin, the actual author.
Oh.
And so there were a lot of scenes that did not take place in the books, and I sort of questioned the decisions, and then afterward I was like, oh wait, it's actually him. So it's interesting. Like, all that dialogue is very accurate because it's from him.
Yeah, but he wants. So that's it. I was going to ask you if there was stuff added that's not in the books because again, he wrote this. So obviously, let's get to the big scene then.
Okay.
So the bear and that's all from the book. That's got to be right.
That scene was different in some ways, but it was.
Was it dramatic for you, even though you knew it was coming?
Oh yeah, it was better than it was in the books because there's an actual bear and she just slaps her across the face.
That's amazing.
That was Bart the Bear, great performance.
Did anyone
awesome.
see, like,
I really bought him as a bear.
As long as you're not thinking of that scene in Anchorman,
that's what where they're fighting. Who didn't when he leapt down instantly? I think I immediately regret this decision.
I did not think of that.
The whole scene I thought of it. It was just played. It was a little more dramatic.
Yeah, it was such an enormous bear.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't skimp on the size
bears are like,
bear.
Bear's like a really fat person on all fours. No, it's like 10 feet tall.
This was Grizzly Man, Kodiak Bear.
And then there's that moment at the end when Jaime they've got Brienne up and Jaime gets lifted up and the bear is swiping and then the bear makes that sort of guttural sound and you have a little King Kong moment of, like the bear, he just wanted to eat somebody today. Yeah, exactly.
Do you think it's easy for the bear? Someone from the top could just shoot an arrow down
and
it.
Exactly, yeah. And I love that the dude missed with his second shot. Like, that's a big bear.
Yeah,
hit the bear.
Don't miss a big bear.
He missed with the second shot and then, by the way, it gave up.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think there'd be like, if you're trying to save Jaime,
I guess it is a crossbow. It takes time, but I love he's like, look, I tried twice. Come on. Obviously, I'm not going to
waste any more arrows.
And the bear was about 10 feet away. You should not use that weapon. Find a different weapon that you're better with in the future. Because if that was a man coming at you, you're not going to hit him.
Yeah, grab a spear.
Yeah. So what did you guys think ultimately about that episode, or not the episode, that scene? Like, that was him actually, like, he'd given inclinations that he, like, feels something for her, and he's taking his vows more seriously, but she called him Sir Jaime for the first time. He goes rushing back to save her, and I love that the reason that he felt he had to rush back was sort of because of his Sapphire's lie coming around to bite him in the ass. I thought that was a nice little
Right,
twist.
it's just a reminder of that was a reminder of his obligation to her.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, I think
he realized that he just kind of botched an opportunity for her to go home for the Golden Dragon sale.
because we had talked about how that it was skillful in the last episode that he recognized that he had no leverage, but it turns out he has tremendous leverage.
Yeah.
That one scene where he's like, I could tell. I love that where he's like, I could tell them that you cut off my hand,
Right.
or I could say that you saved my life.
Yeah.
So,
Which
you
is
know.
going to be Jaime's return, and I'm fascinated because Jaime's rehabilitation from a television point of view that's remarkable. I mean, to take a character, there's a great moment in the Hitchcock movie Marnie where the first writer got into a fight with Hitchcock because there's a rape scene and Sean Connery rapes Tippi Hedren, right? Although they show it 1964 style, and they're married, but she's frigid and doesn't want to be with him. And the first writer, Evan Hunter, I think, didn't want to put that scene in because he's like, once that scene's in there, I can't save Sean Connery. I can't make the audience like him. This guy is fucking his sister and pushed a 5-year-old boy out a window.
Yeah.
Like that's. And yet,
Choked his own cousin just for a chance of escaping
just
from
for
the
a
camp.
choked, and that was a year later. Like he wasn't even rehabilitating anything then.
Yeah, it was like a week ago.
Yeah, right. So, and now we're rooting for him.
Yeah.
Like that's an amazing thing that they've done to completely sort of rehabilitate this awful character. But so I loved the rehabilitation part. I love sort of when he's like, when he realizes that, the sapphire thing's not going to work. So he just walks over to the guy. He's like, all right, well, here we go. Got to go back. Forgot something, right? And he goes back and he makes an effort. But the jumping in, the actual bear scene.
Because what did he expect to do?
It felt a little like maybe it's because of Anchorman. Maybe it's because I immediately regret this decision. But I was like, it's a little stupid. I thought it felt silly to me.
So you have to think about how much this guy has fallen. The Kingslayer, the guy who is been through, but now he's lost a hand. He's been humiliated. He had one hand, but he only had one hand, but he loses to large woman. Brienne. Yeah. So he loses all that. So this person, in order for us to root for him, he has to lose some kind of status. It's not like the same guy says, oh, by the way, this happened to me a long time ago.
Right.
And now he is utterly humiliated. Yeah. He risks death. He's about to go home, and this person who, lives with his father won't bequeath his spoils onto his freak imp son, Tyrion. So what is he going to do when Jaime shows up with one hand? You don't know, and so everything seems to be in jeopardy. And I think part of that, yes, it is, and something that you get with an epic series like this that spans multiple seasons as opposed to just one sitting with a movie is, yes, we kind of forget all the facts of his case, and we've seen him and we've developed with him through time. And,
I love that. I just thought the actual scene was it didn't feel Game of Thrones-y. It felt.
But he had already established in his defense, he had already established that someone was going to fight for him. With the crossbow guy, at least he had some reason to believe that someone would come to his aid because he had that discussion, and so. He knew that he that is a huge change in him, that he will, take his vows seriously and fight for Brienne.
And I love that she provided that example for him, because there's knights all over the place, but most of the knights in King's Landing, I don't know if they do a good enough job in the show of showing this, just suck. They're awful people. They don't take their vows seriously. Yeah. She's weird because she does. And I like if you think back 18 years ago, he did the thing to save King's Landing, and it seems like he was good back then. He did something good, and in the intervening years, he just allowed himself to think, I'm a bad person.
Right, but then because it's like he didn't even tell that
and
anybody
he didn't tell anyone. Now he can't go an episode without dropping it in casual conversation with Tyrion. I saved 500,000
How many people you
deal.
saved? Half a million?
Yeah. Exactly, and now she's provided that example for him.
Yes, he did the right thing, but he can still be kind of a dick.
His stump, by the way, that was gruesome.
Great stump.
Close
Some of the greatest stump work I've ever seen.
It was great.
There's one other stump, possibly.
Wait, what?
The Theon scene?
Oh, totally. So that's
dude! I was like,
And also because, of course, everybody, you could see it coming. You obviously could see it coming, but those of us who haven't read the books.
Well, we didn't see anything necessarily.
No, but you're like, no, I mean, he's with these two gorgeous women. You're like, this is
gonna end bad.
ends poorly.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
Right.
Poor Theon.
Yeah.
Oh God.
We still don't know who that guy is.
No.
You do.
Yes, I do. I like That scene in particular was interesting. I think that they've done too many torture scenes. I think they should have spread it out more. Like, we need to see him being tortured. I think they've done too much of it. There's too many other storylines. Like, just show in the last episode.
I'll make a prediction. I like to make the predictions here. I think if you cut off a man's penis, which we presume is what happens, and I read now this morning that was sort of a mystery in the books, like what
they imply it in dialogue.
Right, it's implied, but you don't read about it.
Yeah, you don't see any of these scenes.
But but now that we know that, we can infer now that he's had some genital mutilation.
MGM.
So right, totally, yeah.
Not FGM.
Right, exactly. Only fair.
Only fair.
Only fair.
Yeah.
Right.
Only fair. It's a progressive world, Westeros.
So I don't think you can cut off a man's junk and kill him off. Like he lives now, to me.
Right.
Because of Varys, maybe?
I just don't think, like, that's different. Varys it happened before. Yeah. This is a guy who had
talking just like art in general. Like, once you cut off a man's balls, you can't kill him.
You don't kill him.
Worse.
Right. I mean, if it is, it's many moons from now.
He's paid the piper.
Right. He pays. Like, he's okay now. He's with us.
I gave his pipe, in fact.
Yeah. He gave his bag or his pipe. I don't know there.
I mean, unless that somehow directs him to evil, then you could kill him. Like if he,
I like the predictions. Interesting.
Exactly. Just not having anything to do with Game of Thrones, just general how you build people up.
I can see that.
But I love that even though that whole time you know it's coming when you hear the horn.
Yeah.
And then he makes the one move to attack that guy for the first time. He tries to fight back.
Yeah.
And just horn across the face.
Dude, how do you get horn across the face?
Yeah,
that was like your time.
Little.
He completely untied you. And
You're all fired up from the
then
horse.
it turned out there's these other two guys.
That's right.
Went down. I mean, there's no getting out.
Poor Theon Greyjoy.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
I think if we can move to another scene, I think there's one star of this episode that we haven't mentioned, and that would be Una Chaplin's ass. Could they have done more shots of her butt in that scene?
I was like, how am I not seeing
also,
more?
I mean, what's his name? Richard Madden?
Yeah, they showed him as well.
His ass is
I
nice.
thought he had a short butt crack. Like, it was like,
you should invest in more butt crack.
I think his butt crack is just short. It doesn't come up high enough.
I think he is hunky, and I think the world responded to it.
I actually had a moment. I was watching it with my girlfriend. I was like, he's got some weird rib areas. Nope, those are muscles.
No. I was watching with a girl, and she was like, "Ooh, nice." Because I said something previously about, "Oh, she has a nice thigh at least," and she's like, "Ooh, nice abs."
Yeah. Oh, he's got great abs.
But I do wonder where in the chain of command the decision was made. Like, did the writer say cut to her butt multiple times? Was it the director? Was it the editor who couldn't get off it?
No, I think you recognize once you have them that, like, you look at her ass and you're like, this is a winner.
Yeah, people are going to respond well to this.
Yeah, so
Theon Greyjoy would have loved it.
Also, this is a very ass-friendly show.
Oh yeah,
loves the ass.
Season 3 is big on the ass.
We saw at least 4 asses, and Bart the Bear, so 5 asses. Yeah.
No, I think it's more than that. I mean, we saw
in this episode.
Oh no, I just mean in general.
Oh yeah,
you can't sit on a throne without an ass.
Okay, so that's
good
transition.
Wait, it's an excellent transition to that scene, which was great. Just the moment when Tywin walks up the stairs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The handheld camera behind him. So
you don't know what's going to happen, but
we could arrange to have you carried.
And and Joffrey, who is so loathsome, and inevitably, because we have 3 episodes left this year, he will cry. He will cry. That's another prediction. That's a great actor. Like
the Tywin or Joffrey?
No, Joffrey is great.
He was good in that scene.
I think he's great solidly. I think that was good because, I mean, Tywin's there and he's like, he can't even. He can't even really make. I want to be included. I want to be included.
He went up to like the kid who played Draco Malfoy and was like, "Where were your mistakes?"
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah. But let's bear in mind really fast, just to give Joffrey some credit, he's right. For the first time,
he's right.
They don't fear the dragons enough. No, right. He's only right
I thought you were saying
he's
right that they shouldn't have the small council meetings.
By
the way, a tower that they now established we don't even know existed.
Yeah.
At the Hands Tower.
The Tower of the Hand.
The Tower of the Hand.
They talked about it previously, but
you don't remember all
he
the
does
scenes
care.
when they talk about the architecture of the Tower of the Hand?
Whatever. But I thought, his big complaint is that, well, what if I do want to go to the meeting?
Yeah, but it's interesting that
I
he
love
is
that
sort
stuff.
of, he's taking an interest. Maybe Margaery is having some influence, that he actually cares enough that he'd want to go to the meetings instead of just
think he's just
crossbowing.
mad
Because the
that
last
he's
time we
missing
saw
out on
him was
something.
crossbowing a hooker, by the
Right,
way.
but I think it's just that. I think it's what Brett said. I think it's just like he feels marginalized, like that great first shot of just what it's like when you sit on the throne. Like,
Yeah.
it's this
By
huge
himself.
room. There's nobody there. He's so small and insignificant and
It's a
unimportant.
great shot.
And such a bad game player. But better, you're right. I mean, he says maybe we should worry about the dragons. And Tywin is like, arrogant and please, it's in a different world.
And where Cersei failed so heartily in dealing with Joffrey, now we get to see Tywin deal with Joffrey, and I like to see those scenes.
Very effectively.
And Margaery alluded to, mothers, which is interesting, mothers control their sons. No influence of the father, apparently, and saying that she's going to teach her sons lots of things. I like that when you just previously seen Joffrey, like, he's lost. He doesn't know what to do because Cersei didn't teach him.
And I love I loved the scene also about Margaery. I loved Margaery and Sansa.
That was a good scene,
Sansa's fucking cluelessness just grows every episode. That I'll have to sleep with him, and how will I, and then
Did your mother teach you that?
right.
Yes, darling.
Totally.
I'm a slut. Do you see my exposed back?
I'm more a slut than my brother is gay.
Right. So that was a great. I loved that. So I like her, but I don't. But she's clearly not to be trusted. To me, Margaery. Yeah, I don't.
She's very practical.
I don't see her making the right decision ultimately, even regarding Sansa.
Now you get to see who you're rooting for, and I think the camps all divide along what the viewer values in a leader, right? Do you value the practicality of Margaery and the Rose people, or what are they?
Tyrells.
The Tyrells. Do you value like some wise person like Tywin Lannister? Do you value someone with power and dragons? Do you value someone like, are we now going along with Jaime Lannister because he's having this strange moral awakening?
Or Robb, sort of old school, smart warrior, thoughtful,
Just,
simple,
honorable.
I don't think he's simple. I think he's very smart.
Well, I think he's smart. Not simple in that it's very cut and dry what he wants to do. He's like, I just want to kill the person that killed my dad.
Yeah, totally.
And then I'm going home, and Ned will go on vacation to your mum's house.
That's true. It is. It's pretty. It doesn't want a lot.
That's what I mean. I don't mean like simple, like dumb. Like,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't want. Right. And simple. He doesn't.
Like his father.
He doesn't want to
Right.
sit. He doesn't want to sit on the Iron Throne.
No.
He's like, no.
Yeah.
I got a perfectly good throne in the north.
Yeah.
Much more
Made of stone.
comfortable,
Yeah.
made of elk skin or something.
Yeah, or whatever.
Not made of like spiky, pointy ass
Right.
pokers.
But
Right,
only
I'll get-
200 of them.
I'll get my
Let's not
sister's
listen to
back.
rumors.
We'll have it. It'll be just the way it was before.
right,
Except
sure.
my dad has no head.
Yeah. I don't know how much there is to say about, we did see the other Stark sister. She was in a very brief scene, but it
Yeah.
is setting up an interesting next couple
That
of
was
episodes.
also a
perhaps.
bad scene. Here's what I did. I thought the jumping in with the bear. I just thought it was a little silly, and then I thought her
Running out.
her little escape. She like prances away and gets away, and they're like go after her, and then she somehow got out, and then got grabbed so quickly. By him, I just look. These are minor criticisms, but a show that sets such a high standard, that felt like they moved so little in some aspects of the show, and then they had these big moments that they got to maybe a little quickly.
Right, I definitely
see that.
When George R.R. Martin writes something, I think you're less likely to say, actually, we should change that because it
Yeah.
doesn't make for good television. I think the moments, the soliloquies, and I think what ends up happening a lot of the times in this show is they will say, listen, we got to eat our peas, and then we can have our pudding.
Right.
And so you have to sit there and listen to people really talk about nothing
Can't
or
just be dragons
set things
setting
up,
people
and
on
then
fire.
and then you get your dragon, and then you get your like awesome bear scene. There's also the dragon scene in the film.
Yeah,
or in the
exactly.
show.
We should probably talk
Yeah,
about
we
that.
got to go.
Because
So
that's
let's
obviously
wrap it up
setting
with
up
that.
something.
So yeah, that was a great scene where we learned that. So I guess her mission is not simple at all. Her mission is no, I'm going to reclaim the throne, and along the way, I'm going to free every slave in this giant in the Seven Kingdoms.
Right. Why?
Right. Why?
She herself was basically a slave. Like it matters to her, I guess.
I think, and there's a degree of like she got such a huge rush from those
Right.
8,000
Yeah.
Unsullied who are now like with her, because that still remains to me the badass scene where
She sets him free.
Gray
You mean
stroke
she was
or
a
what-
slave and that her brother sold her?
Sold her.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And also, like, she doesn't want to just rule for ruling's sake, I guess. She kind of wants to be loved and respected. This is one means to that end, I guess.
And she's going to free these slaves, and presumably they'll do what every other slave did. They'll be like, give me a weapon, and I'm in your, I'm in.
Best part about the scene is finally, for I think the first time maybe in this season, they gave her another dress to wear. Like, can I take off the blue thing and put on this nice white
Which is
outfit?
like, it's good because otherwise I'd have to say, like, people would be like, where did you get that dress? You've been just kind of meandering for a while.
Yeah, she looked
But it was
lovely.
a good scene, and
The dragons
and
are
the
bigger and
dragons-
scarier.
That effect is impressive.
Oh yeah,
that's-
for a TV
Throws the
show,
meat.
Yeah.
very impressive. Yeah, you
Yeah,
you
throwing
start
the
to
meat,
buy them
yeah.
as a weapon.
Did I learn a new verb, blooding? To blood them.
Yeah.
They decided to just train them on blood. That's great. Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, really
Yeah,
super
yeah.
fun. We don't have to discuss it, but one of the scenes that I love the most because I actually like the introspective sort of dialogue-heavy scenes. I love the scene between Shae and Tyrion,
Yeah, that was
where
great.
it was just such a real, honest, exposed, and vulnerable scene.
Except, yes, in one sense, except I want Tyrion to go, what do you fucking want me to do? Like, this is the world we live in. This is ideal. She doesn't want me. I don't want her. I will have sex with her to have some kids. And you and I will carry on, and she won't care. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be
Buy you a
fine.
And she
garden
expects
way
more.
up in the West Hills. Like,
I'm gonna go out on a
So
high
just
note.
3 more episodes.
Three more episodes.
3
But
hours.
so they're setting up. This is another setup episode. I don't know exactly what's going to be in the last 3, but I'm excited. I think there's going to be some big scenes.
I think there might be some blood.
I think there might be
there
some
will
blood.
be.
There will be
And
blood.
not just penile stump blood. I think there's going to be a lot of blood.
Brett, John, thanks.